DreAllDay.com.
So, you all welcome, Dre Baldwin.
Thank you, Rafa. Now today, for those of you who don't know, is my very last day as president at this club. And I was... Yes, you are lucky. It being my last day, it was perfect timing that I was to give a speech today. And I was thinking, over the last several months, there have been several days where I would leave this meeting, leave here on a Thursday night and say, why is the energy here just so high? Why does everyone here just really want to be here so much? How is working with these people at this club so easy? But the other 23 hours of the day when I'm doing business with human beings with 2 arms, 2 legs is not so easy. What is it about Toastmasters that if I can bottle up the same principles or same energies from here and apply it to business, it could actually help me in the other 6 days of the week, 6 days and 23 hours of the week. So I thought of a few things that principles that you can take from Toastmasters, apply to your life and business, professionally, your school, your team, whatever you're involved in, that can help you. So I'm going to give you just 5. Number 1, I'm going to tell a story. The story is about a rapper by the name of Notorious B.I.G. I hope you know who he is. And Puff Daddy, or Diddy, whatever you call him, he was doing an interview a couple months ago. He was telling a story about when he first met Notorious B.I.G. They met in Harlem at a restaurant, and at this time, Puff Daddy was actually working for another company. He was an A&R for another record label. He didn't have his own business yet. But his job was to go out and find new talent. So he got introduced to the Notorious B.I.G. They met in a restaurant, and Puff Daddy's telling the story that Notorious B.I.G. wouldn't even look him in his eyes. He was very shy, very reserved. And Puff Daddy said to him, hey, big man, you don't want nothing to eat? Notorious B.I.G. is a really big guy. He said, man, you don't want anything to eat? And Notorious B.I.G. said, man, no, I don't want nothing to eat, man. Listen, I'm on the streets. I'm hustling, I'm selling drugs right now. I don't want to do this anymore. All I want to do is whatever you tell me to do, Puff Daddy, so we can get this money. And Puff Daddy said, when he said that to me, I knew we were about to go on a journey. And the rest, as they say, is history. What does that have to do with Toastmasters? My number 1 point is this. Work with the willing. Work with people who want to work. Work with people who want to show up, who want to be there. How many of you have ever worked with someone professionally, business-wise, who they were there, but you know they didn't really want to be there? Someone who shows up just because they get paid. Someone who you may not necessarily like, or maybe they don't even like you, and you know it, and they know it, but you still have to work together because they have to get that check, because they have to get that deposit. They don't really want to be there. Great thing about Toastmasters, there's 30 people in this room right now. Everybody chose to be here tonight. That is the number 1 thing that makes the energy at this club different from the energy somewhere outside. Number 2, I'm going to tell you another story. When I got my first job out of college, I was working at Foot Locker. I was an assistant manager at Foot Locker. The thing is, I didn't know the business of Foot Locker, so I had to actually train as a normal, quote-unquote, employee for a few months before I could be a manager. The head manager was this guy named Keith. And Keith was a really funny guy in a cynical type of way, because whenever Keith would give me these training, quote-unquote, conversations, and there would be me and him working a lot of times, maybe in the middle of the day on a Tuesday at the mall, there's nobody there. He would always give me these lectures on how to deal with the employees. He never referred to the employees by their names. He always called them part-timers. There was the managers and there was the part-timers. It was like us against them. He would always say, Dre, when you become a manager and you're dealing with these part-timers, you can't be nice to them. You can't be their friend. You have to be a dick. Be a dick, Dre. Don't be friendly with them. Don't let them get over on you, because if you let them get over once, they're going to get over on you over and over and over again. And he would hammer that into me. Just be a dick. Don't be friendly. Don't be nice. The thing about Foot Locker, or maybe some other businesses, if any of you have ever been in a supervisory position or had to deal with a supervisor who thought the way the Keith did, sometimes that works. And it works because, the same reason I said in number 1, sometimes people have to show up and get their check. Any of you ever work with a boss that you didn't like? Any of you ever been the boss that people didn't like? What happens in business is, again, sometimes people show up because they had to. In Toastmasters, one thing that I learned very early is that you must be fair, you must always make everyone feel welcome, and you can't be an asshole. Because if you are, people won't show up. The only reason we have this meeting, the people who keep showing up here over and over again, even the guests, because they feel welcome. They feel like their input is worth something. So point number 2 is always be fair and always be nice to people. But number 3, I'll tell you another story. When I was in college, our basketball team coach, once we had a team meeting, there were 15 players on the team. He said, I'm going to give each one of you an index card, and it has about 2 sentences that came out of a story written on your index card. So imagine each one of you had an index card with 2 sentences on the story. The thing is though, if you put all these index cards together, you get a complete story. Now here's the trick. None of you can look at anyone else's card. Only through your skill of communication, I'm going to give all of you 15 minutes, and you need to put together the entire story and make sure it's accurate. And then you're going to tell me what that story is. Now if you guess what happened, here's the thing with our team, and it's the same as in any group, your job, Toastmasters, anywhere, even in this room. There were a few outspoken people who just carried the conversation. They just started talking. There were the people kind of in the middle who talk sometimes and they're quiet sometimes. I was in that group. And then there are the quiet people who never say anything. They're always there, but they don't talk. So we get 15 minutes go by, and our outspoken guys, the leaders, quote unquote leaders, they said to the coach, all right, we're ready. We have the story. The story is this. They're about to tell the coach the story, and I said, hold on. Before we turn to this story, is there anyone in this room who has anything on their index card that contradicts the story that we're about to turn in? And about 3 people spoke up and said, well, I had this, and I had this, and I had that. And our outspoken people said, oh, why didn't you say anything the first time? Why were you so quiet? Why didn't you speak up? And I said, well, listen, and this is the point that I want to give to all of you. Everyone must be involved in this club and everything that you do. What you have to understand is that all the 30 people in this room, each one of us has an index card with 2 sentences on it. No matter how good of a speaker you are, no matter how many speeches you've given, whether you've been an officer, whether you're only here for the first time, everyone has 2 sentences on their index card. And if any one of us does not get to express what's on our index card, we get the entire story. Everyone must be involved at all times. Number 4. I'll tell you one more story. When I was in college, I played basketball, for those of you who didn't know. And I used to do this. One of my favorite dunks to do was that I would get the ball in a breakaway, meaning no one was between me and the basket. And I would toss the ball up, and it would bounce off the backboard, that big square thing. I would jump in the air, catch it, and I would dunk it. So we played this exhibition game once, my senior year. And I got a breakaway, and I'm about to do my signature dunk. So I come down the floor, I'm dribbling, nobody's in the way, everybody's anticipating the slam dunk. I throw the ball at the backboard, I go to plant the jump, and there's a wet spot on the floor. So I slip and fall flat on my face in the middle of the basketball court. Now some people are laughing now, but what actually happened when I fell was dead silent. Everyone was just absolutely quiet, just like this. It wasn't until I got up with a big smile on my face that everyone started laughing. Because they realized, okay, Dre's not taking it too seriously, we can laugh at him. We can laugh with him, rather, instead of laughing at him. And the point that I want to share with all of you in Toastmasters is, don't take yourself so damn seriously. No matter what you do when you're outside of here, if you are a boss, if you are a mother, if you're a father, if you're a head of a household, if you're in charge of some other organization, when you come in here, just like I said in point number 3, everybody has 2 sentences on your index card. And if one person is talking so much that another person doesn't get a chance to speak up, again, we get the entire story wrong. Last point is you must get yourself out of the way. And this is similar to something that Andre touched on, was being an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs who start off, as we call them solopreneurs, sometimes get into what we call entrepreneurial hell, which is, say for example, someone loves baking pies. I love baking pies, so I'm going to start a pie baking business. But what happens is, I find out that I have to do payroll, that I have to hire people, that I have to fire people, that I have to talk to the suppliers, I got to make sure the rent's paid, and I have to deal with all these outside business paperwork that has nothing to do with baking pies. And before I know it, a month is going by and I haven't baked one single pie. Because I got caught doing everything myself. All of us here, no matter how much skill you have, how good you are, how good you think you are, how bad you are, anyone who comes into this meeting and does not feel like they're involved, feel like they're getting their fair say, feel like they're getting to share what's on their index card, you know what happens to those people? They don't come back. They're not here today because they don't feel involved. They don't feel like their contribution matters. And I'll end my speech. I'm going to recap, then I'll end my speech with a quote. So 5 points that I shared with you is this. Number 1, work with people who want to be there. Work with people who want to show up, people who will call you instead of you having to call them. Number 2, always be fair and honest with everybody. Number 3, get everybody involved. Number 4, no matter how good or bad you are, don't take yourself so damn seriously. And number 5, get yourself out of the way. I will end this piece with a quote by Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich. All of you have heard of that book, maybe. And someone asked Napoleon, what is the best way to give a speech? What is the best way to come up in front of an audience, give a speech that's powerful, and make sure everyone gets your message? He gave 3 simple steps. Stand up, say what you have to say, and then sit down. If you're on Snapchat, hit me on the Snap. My Snap name is @Dre Baldwin. You already know how that works. And I got a podcast, if you didn't know. It is called Work on Your Game. It is an everyday podcast where I talk about getting yourself into the right mindset, that bulletproof mindset. Getting yourself seen, heard, known. Getting the exposure you want and making things happen in your life instead of waiting for things to happen to or for you. Subscribe to that podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Make sure you check it every single day. Make sure you're subscribed so you catch the heat. Work on your game.
Dre Ball, Dre Ball, Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball, Dre Ball, Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball, Dre Ball.